Welcome, everyone, back to another edition of the Sporting Cast podcast. Here we have a very special guest, a man growing in the baseball world. You may know him on Instagram. Some know as Bryce Whitlow. Some know as the MLB Hall of Good content creator. Bryce, how are you today, my man?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm ready to talk about the whole and just talk about baseball in general.
So for the listeners that we have, we mainly have athletes in the past, but the goal of this whole episode of the podcast is not just athletes, right? We're going to have coaches, we're going to have sports announcers and play-by-play guys, and we're going to have content creators. Bryce was fortunate enough to join us. For all you baseball fans, especially watching baseball in the 2000s, 2010s, he's really done a great job of capturing that magic of maybe your favorite player that didn't get the recognition that some of these other stars got, right? So, Bryce, you've done an excellent job with what you're doing so far. And so before we get started, I just want to say thank you as a fan myself.
Oh, man, I really appreciate you saying that. It's just all about, the players and just spreading the love for the game and, just nostalgia, really, just for the era you grew up in. That's what it's all about.
So you can follow Bryce at the MLB Hall of Good on Instagram and the MLB Hall of Good on Twitter or X. And he also has the SoundCloud, most recently, the Blaze Jordan interview. So if you guys are interested in listening to that, make sure you listen. It's a good listen from my end, at least.
Thank you.
So before we dive in too much to your story and your page, World Series, MLB playoffs, what are your thoughts on it? Where do you rank that Game 7? Where do you rank that World Series as a whole?
So, in my lifetime, I was born in 2001. So as far as World Series go, totally, it's got to go right up there with 2016, in my opinion. So many memorable moments. You had record-breaking moments like Ernie Clement with the hit record in the postseason, Yamamoto with like a Bumgarner-esque, pitching performance. There were so many memorable things. Freddie Freeman walk-off home run again. I think this is one people will look back in 30 years and wish the younger generation's going to wish they were old enough to have watched it, in my opinion. So in my lifetime, at least top two, maybe even better than 2016 as well. It was mind-blowing, amazing World Series.
No, I agree. As someone who was 8 years old when the 05 Sox won, I always say that's the best one with that dominant pitching staff. As a Red Sox fan yourself, kudos to you for not, having the hometown bias, but I would have understand if you did, either 04 or 2018, throw in 07 if you want. But, no, I agree. I was at the 2016 Cubs parade, and that was pretty cool. Just watching the game, obviously, in general, of the Cubs-Cleveland World Series. I think as a whole, this World Series was better, but I think that Game 7, you could make an argument either way, in my opinion. But I think the 7 games, for the most part, this year was pretty tough to beat. So I agree. But I don't know. It's we had a lot of shout outs. Fourth inning and followers. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I kind of picked the Blue Jays to bandwagon on. I'm not like a Dodger hater, like I feel like a lot of people who follow MLB are. It wasn't really that. I lived in New Hampshire for a while, and so the Blue Jays AA team, the Fisher Cats, are right there where I used to live. And so I kind of just latched on to the Blue Jays. And then out of nowhere, a lot of their players kind of latched on to what I do on social media. We had like Alejandro Kirk, Ernie Clement, Davis Schneider, Addison Barger, just Savage, and a few more. They just started following the account. Davis Schneider got asked about it in an interview right before he hit a leadoff home run in the World Series game. And so it felt like, maybe I was trying to give the Blue Jays some magic. Maybe I wound up cursing them in the end. I don't know. But it was really cool to feel – I know I wasn't like a part of the team. I have no misconceptions there. But it felt like I was a part of it in some fashion. And so it was just awesome to feel included in that way.
Now, obviously the Blue Jays did not win, but I would have petitioned on this episode if they did win that you would have gotten your individual World Series ring. I'm not biased, but I think maybe we can make that happen for the future. We'll see if next year they win it, and they'll include you in on that.
Oh yeah, in the back of my mind, I was thinking about sending a DM to one of them if it happened, just to see if they'd be willing to get my ring size. You never know.
So Bryce, you've captured the love and appreciation for, I think, a lot of people, especially in their teens, 20s, and 30s, but anyone, pretty much any baseball fan of any age, right? And I guess, what has that journey been like for you? From my understanding, did this start in January of 2024?
Yes, correct. I thought of the account in December 2023. Didn't start doing anything with it or posting until January 2024, like you said. And it started as kind of just like a personal journal almost of just baseball thoughts that came into my mind. And then, after about 3 months, I had like 600 followers. And 3 months later, it was like 7,000 followers. And then it just gradually started going to where it is now. And I mean, I never thought people would really care about what I thought about baseball, but it's been really cool that sometimes people do. I remember I texted my wife, I was like, wow, I've got 3,000 followers now. People are starting to listen to me. And then now I look, and it's over 170,000. So it's really just been a wild ride. I never expected it. I've gotten a lot of crazy opportunities. And I'm just really thankful for the way it's been received, I guess, by everybody on social media.
So I can attest to that, because I believe on Saturday or Sunday you posted about 170,000 followers, and then I checked about 10 minutes before we hopped on, and you are already at 173,000. So it's growing day by day, and I think baseball fans appreciate that. And it's even the off season, so keep those followers coming, and then you're just going to keep blowing up. Hopefully by spring training we're at least 500,000.
You never know. I'm grateful for every single one, even if it stopped today. It's an awesome amount. It's a pretty tight-knit community, too. I feel like we have a lot of inside jokes and, the voting and everything. So I feel like people enjoy having it as a baseball space.
So when you talk about opportunities that you've had, are you able to share some of the cool opportunities that you've been able to do because of this?
Yeah, so I mentioned living in New Hampshire for a while near the Blue Jays AA team. And in June of last year, they actually had a Hall of Pretty Good night at the stadium. They let me throw out the first pitch. They let me call an inning in the broadcast booth. And then they also let me link up with a charity that donated food to underserved school children during Christmas break, summer break. They let me provide a ticket promo code for them. And so half of the ticket proceeds went to that charity as well. So they were really good to me there. Lynchburg Hillcats, single A affiliate of the Cleveland Guardians, they let me do an inning of play-by-play in their booth, which was awesome. The Portland Sea Dogs, AA for the Red Sox, let me throw out a first pitch. And then the Aberdeen Ironbirds, single A affiliate for the Baltimore Orioles, although they just got moved to the draft league, but they let me call a whole game as the color commentator in their broadcast booth. So all of that happened last summer, and so it was a really eventful summer for me, and just a lot of moments I'll never forget.
So I know I sent you a little video of where I live. So that's where the Indianapolis Indians used to play, AAA team for the Pirates. Now they're playing about a mile down the street from where I live now. I'm gonna make it a goal to get you to Indianapolis, throw out a first pitch. Can't guarantee MLB Hall of Good night, but I can at least guarantee. I got a couple connections over there, so get a two-way ticket to Indianapolis if you don't mind next summer.
I mean, my day job is in education, so the months of June and July are normally free. So, I mean,
perfect.
You never know.
All right, listen, for all you baseball fans, come to Indy. I'll drop a video of where at least the view from my apartment, so it's pretty cool. First base side, field's still intact, and if you want to come out, maybe we'll get a game and you throw out the first pitch here. Not many fans here, just a couple of people that may complain, but, you're more than welcome.
I'm down.
So you're in education. So did you just get were you just doing this and thought one day in December of 2023 that you wanted to make this page, or was it something to keep you busy or whatnot?
So it's a bit of a lengthy story, I guess, but I'll go ahead and
tell
it.
So that's what the podcast is for, my friend.
I graduated high school in 2020, and so right when that happened, it was the COVID year. My final year of baseball got canceled. And then after that, I got diagnosed with some type of genetic arthritis thing. And so now I can't really run, can't do anything like that. So I can't play baseball anymore. And so that really got me down, because I thought maybe there was a chance to play in college, not anything crazy, but a D3 school or community college, just something like that. Mm-hmm. But so it totally took away that chance. And so I spent the next 2 or 3 years in the dumps, man. I hated baseball. I didn't want to watch it, didn't want to play any video games. stopped buying baseball cards. I unfollowed all the social media accounts. I hated baseball. And then one day in like late 2023 on my 22nd birthday, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get back in baseball. I had loved it my whole life, and so it felt wrong to turn my back on it. And so I was like, I'm going to do it, and I think I'm going to start a social media account. And I didn't think I'd ever be at their level, and I'm still not. But I saw somebody like the rise of John Boy Media, and I saw what they were doing. And I was like, well, maybe I could give my opinions and talk about the game kind of like they do. And so that's why I started the account. And I wanted to be a little bit different than other accounts. And so I focused on past players from my childhood. And that's what I wanted the main thing to be. And I do talk about the modern game on my account too.
For sure.
But the main focus is past players. And so I really wanted to use it as a way to reconnect with the game I grew up loving. And ever since I started that account, me and baseball have been like this. I can't get away from it. So I found my love again for baseball through this account, and that's been the greatest part of it all for me.
No, man, I get it. We'll dive later into this, but so I was trying to go to all 30 baseball stadiums with my dad, and in 2021, January, he passed away of cancer. Had it for a long time, but, a similar situation where it was kind of that, maybe I'll just kind of focus on other things. I was just graduating college as well. And then the White Sox ended up having a one-off good year, something we struggled with over the last 10, 15 years. But it's something that my friends also said, we're still doing this. So I've gone with a different group of friends to a lot more stadiums. I'm at 23 of 30, got 7 more to do. But, no, I get it. There's moments in, someone's life that you may question the game or not like the game, but somehow it always seems to bring you back. You don't know how long. It may be 3 months, it may be 3 years, it may be 30 years, but, it gravitates you, pulls you in, and I'm glad it pulled you in for the good, and I'm sure you've pulled other people in as well. So, I'm sure you got messages or whatnot, but I can speak for at least, myself that I don't follow any accounts other than like my Chicago teams that I root for, and other than that, just like my social media friends, right? But I'll say, that algorithm kept popping up with MLB at Paula Good months ago, and so I gave it a follow. So, good stuff, man. That's a really cool journey. Do you have a goal with this? Are you, you're about almost 2 years in. Is it something that, have you started to think, man, what can I turn this into? Or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Pretty much day by day. If you ask me, do you want to create baseball content full-time as a job? Obviously I would say yes. I feel like most baseball fans do. Mm-hmm. But I don't really know how to achieve that or necessarily feeling like taking the steps that do that. I have a full-time job now that does okay. And so it's not really a burning need. And so maybe I think that's kind of helped me grow a little bit, is I haven't felt desperate to necessarily make it something full-time. But if the opportunity ever came my way, I would totally take it. But as far as future plans for it, I don't really have any certain ideas. I kind of just go with the flow. I thought of the weekly voting just one day after work and wrote up the rules in 10 minutes. And then here it is now. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to the account, honestly.
So weekly voting, do you want to talk more into that? And, like you said, what the rules are, how you created that, and kind of the criteria of what to do and how that's been going? We have a big day today, voting day.
Yeah, today is voting day. So every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we post a vote. And so for the voting, we have a certain criteria we follow. And so I'll go over that real quick. So the criteria is you got to be less than 38.6 B-WAR, which is a little bit under the Harold Baines line. You can't win a Cy Young. You can't win an MVP. You got to be retired for at least 3 years. Or, no, not retired at least 3 years. Sorry, officially retired, you're immediately eligible. Or you can be eligible if you've been inactive on an MLB roster for 3 years. And so those are pretty much the qualifications. So in how voting goes, we do an Instagram poll. And so we put up all the stats, a picture of the player. And so the player has to get 65% after 24 hours to be elected. So the Hall of Fame kind of does 75%. We just want to be pretty good, so we do 65%. And so that's pretty much the gist of how voting works for the Hall of Pretty Good.
No pun intended, obviously. So who was the first player? How do you do this? You know, a little bit of drama today on your page, actually. People accusing you of just dropping out Trevor Plouffe out of, by your decision. But, I know you have the magic wheel, right, with your buddy?
Yes, I do have a wheel. Sometimes we do a podcast and we talk about the player, but regardless of if we record or not for that, there is a random wheel, hundreds of names I spin. And so I spin it every week, and then the name it lands on is who we vote on. So that's just kind of how it works. It's completely random. So that way there's no personal bias. We mentioned I'm a Red Sox fan, and so, if it was up to me, I'd try and put in all my guys from my childhood first. But that's not what people want to see. And so I thought it was most fair to do it completely random. And so people will say it's not, but, I record it every time. It is completely random.
Before we dive too much into a group of players, I know we had a very special induction last week. One of your childhood favorites, one I think a lot of fans can resonate with for many reasons, his longevity. He's no longer with us, but the knuckleball mania for many people. Tim Wakefield, are you able to kind of share that process? I know you were able to speak with his daughter, and I think the community really rallied around it for some donations as well.
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to make sure of when I put somebody like him, recently passed away up for vote, is that nobody thinks we're disrespecting him by doing this. Because I know it's not the Hall of Fame, it's called the Hall of Pretty Good. And on the account, I'll post jokes and mess around and stuff like that. So the last thing I wanted was for people to think I'm trying to disrespect him. So what I did before I ever put him up for vote, I sent a message to his daughter, just asked him, hey, is it okay if we put him up for vote? It's a funny page, but we do genuinely appreciate the players. And she was all for it. I mean, she responded, yes, she'd love it. And then one thing we did just to try and, make it in honor of Tim Wakefield was to put up a fundraiser for the Red Sox Foundation. Mm-hmm. And so all my followers got together, and together they raised over $1,100 for the Red Sox Foundation in Tim Wakefield's honor, which was really special because Tim Wakefield was an honorary chairman of that foundation for years, since 2013. He did a lot of work with other charitable organizations too. And so I think it was a really improper, place to just say goodbye to a lot of people's childhood favorites. And I think a lot of people took a moment to comment a memory they had of Wakefield. And I mean, it was really nice. I was shocked. I mean, the internet can be a bad place, but I didn't really see any crazy messages or comments. There was nothing like that directly disrespecting him. The only things that were negative, were people just saying why they didn't vote for him. Mm-hmm. And that was completely baseball statistics related, nothing to do with Wakefield or his untimely passing. And so I was really proud of everybody in the baseball community, for being respectful to Tim Wakefield in his honor. It was awesome to see.
No, it was good. I think, my earlier memories of Tim Wakefield when I was little, I'd play with my cousins and friends, the MLB 2K5, I think is what it was called at the time, but you could do the knuckleball, but you could also control where you didn't know where the pitch was coming. So when Wakefield's knuckleball is coming at you, I'm like, I don't know how to hit this. I was already bad at video games in general anyway. So, no, Tim Wakefield was awesome. Enjoyed watching him play. I always have a love-hate relationship with the Red Sox. I feel like there's these guys that I really like on the team and these guys that, not my fan, right? But Tim Wakefield was one of those guys that I think just about any baseball fan can appreciate for many reasons. So appreciate you doing that for him, his family, and the Red Sox organization.
Thank you. And yeah, I do agree. I think he's about as universally liked as an athlete can be.
Exactly. So more into the inaugural voting ends. So we've had 2 seasons so far, right? Are we continued on season 2, or is season 3 officially started yet?
So we're on the 3rd class right now. If Plouffe gets in, he would be the 10th member, which would end the 3rd class.
Okay.
So we'll have to see. He's catching up right now. A lot of the John Boy media people are trying to sway the vote, but he's got a bit of an uphill battle, so we'll see.
I saw it was about 50-50 when I checked about an hour ago, so there's some drama coming in.
Before I hopped on, he was up to 56%, so
okay.
He's climbing slowly but surely.
So when you did the first season, who was your favorite player that got nominated? Is there a Mount Rushmore of players that either are already in or what you would classify as the Hall of Good?
Yeah, so I think that first induction was so special. We had Steve Cishek get in, first ever player, Marlins reliever for a while. It was it was kind of odd. We were kind of wondering how the players would take it. I was like, are they going to think this is cool? Are they going to think we're making fun of them? Because that really was never the intention. But he saw it, and then he puts like a little silly acceptance speech underneath the induction post. And ever since then, it's almost become customary for any player that sees it to drop a little induction speech, whether they video it or comment on it. And he kind of started that trend. And so Cishek's probably my favorite because he really helped legitimize it, I guess is the right word for it. Because once he bought in and kind of got in on the joke, I guess, for lack of a better term, I feel like it made it okay for a lot of other players to do the same thing as well. I mean, it was funny when Eric Hosmer got in, he put like some snarky comment, like he totally thought we were making fun of him. And then a few months later, he followed me and he started getting it. And then he actually mentioned getting elected on MLB Network.
I saw that.
And so he did like a complete 180 once he saw how everybody actually took the account. And so that was really cool to see. And then you mentioned like Mount Rushmore. I mean, right now, our highest percentages are like Adam Jones, Hunter Pence, and Tim Wakefield. They got 99, 98, 97. So I think those right now would kind of be our Mount Rushmore. Pretty good, borderline very good players if I had to select any.
No, I like that. Yeah, no, special shout out. My favorite nominee, very biased, so people can hate it, but AJ Pierzynski, just
yep.
A gritty player. It was a drop third strike in 2005. He trucked Michael Barrett. He didn't like that, but he was a guy that I think one of those. If he was on your team, you loved him. If he wasn't on your team, you didn't like him. But now he's on everyone's team of MLB Hall of Good. So you have to be a fan of him now, and I think he gives back to the game the right way. So.
And I mean, a lot of people, love him or hate him, they showed their appreciation for him as a ball player. I think he got like 91% of the vote. So. I mean, people turned up for him. He recorded a really funny speech, too. It was awesome to see. And so a lot of people were able to separate maybe their personal feelings for him and just look at the stats, which is what I want people to do when it comes to these guys. He never committed a crime or anything crazy like that. People just didn't like his attitude. So
correct.
I'm glad they were able to separate the art from the artist on that type of thing.
I'm going to make my one pitch to the listeners whenever this time comes. Scott Podsednik. Gritty leadoff hitter, stolen base guru, a guy who valued speed myself, obviously a one-time All-Star, 05 hero, a little bit of a journeyman other than with the White Sox. But for those listeners out there, I want you to, take into consideration when his name comes up. So you included, Bryce, so no pressure.
He's on the wheel, so if it comes around, I mean, he's perfectly eligible, so I'll have to see what happens.
He's the man. When my dad passed away, I actually reached out to him via social media, and I just put my number in like the signature line, and he actually reached back out to me. So he's a class guy. He's a Class A guy. So we'll have to get a very nice formal announcement from him when that time comes, because I know it's going to happen. I can see it in the future.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they will show him some love when the time comes.
So another fun thing on your Instagram that I think people are genuinely curious about, and I don't even know your serious level, to be honest, but the Pittsburgh Pirates ownership. We see these posts about you trying to buy the Pittsburgh Pirates, and with every Instagram follower. Take us into that. How serious are you? What would you do? Where are the Pirates? What are your thoughts on the Pirates as just an organization as a whole?
So I love the Pirates as a team, but I mean, I think it's no secret people are fed up with the way, Bob Nutting, their owner, kind of runs things. And so I just wanted to give Pirates fans something to smile about. And so we started a bit of a, just a running joke. And at first there's just a throwaway post when I first started doing it, and the price was like $25,000 for each follower. And I just kept doing it like every couple weeks or every month at least. And eventually people just really latched on to it. And so it's kind of been like a running / inside joke with all the followers of the account that one day we're going to own the Pirates and save them together. And so I think a lot of people, and a lot of wishful Pirates fans like to think about it. Sometimes I have people who will like DM me almost like angry because you have to have like a majority owner or something like that. There's a whole bunch of rules about how you have to go about buying a team. And I was like, man, come on. like obviously if it could happen, it'd be awesome. But it's clearly we're just having a little bit of fun is all it is. Just like dreaming about what it would be like to own an MLB team. And so I don't take it too seriously, but I mean, you never know if Bob Nutting wants to sell a team and we keep growing, we could throw a bid out there. We evidently need somebody as like as a figurehead who can put up the money just by himself, because evidently they don't want a big group of people owning a franchise. All the other owners have to approve it, I think is what it is. And so a lot of people were telling me they probably wouldn't approve that. But if we just get like a figurehead and just put him out there, and I mean, we could do it.
So this is why Paul Skeens needs to stay on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens need to stay together, and then they can at least front the money, and then he'll be the first, not player coach, but player owner. So you never know.
Yeah,
Crazy things happen.
I mean, we'll put him up there if there's like a McCutchen. He could maybe retire and then
Love Andrew McCutchen.
and step into the ownership role right after. We could do that in a season or two.
So other than the White Sox and the Cubs, since I pretty much grew up right outside of Chicago, Northwest Indiana, when I've been going up to these baseball stadiums, I've been trying to go to each stadium only once so I can savor that experience before I try to, go to that stadium again. And for example, like my father-in-law, he's asked me to go to the Reds game a couple of times. Well, I've already been there. I saw Todd Frazier walk off back in 2015, so I've always been kind of felt bad. I'm like trying to, sorry, can't, But the only time I ever considered it was in 2023 because my buddy works for the Texas Rangers. Shout out ZP. They won the World Series. He asked me to come to one of the World Series games. I actually did try to go, but I was going to go to – I ended up switching it to Games 6 and 7 because I had some coaching obligations, and then, of course, it only went 5 games. So a little bit of a heartbreak, but I guess it was meant to be that I should not go to another stadium again. But I'm saying that because when I went to the Pirates, it was 2012, last regular season game, Chipper Jones's last regular season game. Andrew McCutchen, he's the man. Liked him, loved that stadium. And Clint Hurdle threw me his hat. It's actually on video. I think I could probably find it on MLB Network because we were sitting right behind the dugout. And
that's awesome.
But then I got to thinking, there was like a little kid next to me, and I did get a foul ball earlier in the game, and I gave it to him. So I didn't feel bad, and maybe that's why his dad didn't say anything. But when Clint threw the hat, it was kind of out of my peripheral vision, and I just caught it so quick. So I've always wondered if he was throwing it at me or if he was throwing it at that dad with the little kid. But thankfully the dad was nice enough because I was, A, young enough, and B, I think I gave him a ball anyway, so he let it slide. But you have my support on the Pittsburgh Pirates ownership. So, for all these listeners, follow his page, and then we'll just continue to get that average down per follower. Next topic. Hall of Good Teams. I don't know if this is a project you may start to do in the long run, but what are some teams that stand out to you in your lifetime that did not win the World Series that you think should be remembered?
I've thought about it before. It's just trying to think of how to implement voting for something like that or just acknowledgement. But one team I always think about when I get asked this is the 2015 Blue Jays. I think they should have gone all the way. I don't know how they did. When you look at the roster, they had David Price, Troy Tulowitzki, Ben Rivera's playing really well. He's one of my favorite players.
He's a Hall. Was he a Hall? Did he make it in?
He hasn't been voted yet, but I hope he does.
Okay.
He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I try and spread propaganda for him.
I remember him on the page a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Bautista, Encarnacion, all those names. If there's a team that should have won and didn't win, it's maybe them or those, Tigers teams that they ran out there with Prince Fielder and Miguel Cabrera. So I think those two teams are who pops into my mind when I think of, Hall of Good teams that didn't make it all the way.
Those Tiger teams were nasty because they had Price, Verlander, Scherzer, Rick Porcello, a Red Sox legend, and then
love Rick Porcello.
They had Anibal Sanchez, who finally won, but then they had their sixth pitcher was Robbie Ray, I believe, too, which people don't sometimes forget. So that's a pretty lethal pitching staff on top of Prince and Miggy, I think Peralta, Brandon Inge, I think was gone by that point. Victor Martinez was there, but no, good stuff. Favorite stadiums? How many stadiums have you been to, and which ones are you wanting to go to?
Let me see. I've been to Fenway, I've been to Truist, Nationals Park, Camden Yards, and then PNC Park where the Pirates play. I think those are the 5 I've been to. I don't know. See, I love Fenway, Camden, and PNC a lot. It's hard to choose between those three, and that's no disrespect to Atlanta, or DC at all. But those are good stadiums. I haven't been to a bad one. I'm not sure there actually really is a bad one. I mean, maybe Tropicana Field was or something, but part of me feels like I have to go with Camden because it was the first one I ever went to.
Okay.
So I'm kind of tied to it. So, and that's not a bad choice.
From a Red Sox fan too, man.
Yeah. Fenway is great to look at. The seats are very uncomfortable there. I don't know if have you been to Fenway?
Yes. Ironically, which is funny that you mentioned Prince Fielder and Miggy. When I went in 2012 or 2011, and Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder went back-to-back home runs. And then I went to Cleveland. Miguel hit a home run, and then I made the joke to my dad. I'm like, it would be crazy if Fielder does it, and he did it as well. I'll see if I can find those videos on YouTube. So, yeah, I've seen them. Yes, I've been to Fenway, loved it, snuck up on the Green Monster. Shout out to my uncle. He told the lady that we already had tickets, so he said my wife has the tickets. So me, my friend, and my dad and uncle, the four of us went up there, and we enjoyed a couple innings up there. So, yeah, beautiful stadium. It is old, though. The seats are a little outdated from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I was there the year you guys had Bobby Valentine as your manager, so
2012.
Yeah. And so my buddy had a baseball and I had a pennant, and he was like signing stuff before, and my buddy threw him the baseball, he signed it, and I just tossed him like a frisbee toss my pennant, and then he just let it drop on the ground and then never signed it. So yeah, I was never a Bobby Valentine. He was Hall of very mean, if I may say so. But yeah, no, been to Fenway's great. Love Camden Yards. I like PNC a lot. Petco Park in San Diego is gorgeous. To me, I think it's all about that weekend experience too. I don't know if you've been to Colorado. I highly suggest you can get out there. I'm biased. I mean, I like the Sox and Cubs, but again, I've been there so many times, know how to do it. Wrigley Field, you have the bars and the history, just like Fenway. The Sox, again, I'm a fan, but if you can go there during a playoffs when they're tailgating, you feel like you're at a football game, and that's what I like about the Sox stadium. So
yes,
there's not really a bad stadium. Tropicana is cool because you got to pet some Rays in the outfield, but we need to get a journey for you to get to all the baseball stadiums. We'll get some content. So okay, go ahead.
I was just saying I'd love to, and it's a goal my wife and I do have. It's just you got to find the time to go, and it's hard. We live in Virginia currently, and so we've kind of hit a lot of the East Coast ones. Maybe make it up to New York; those would be fairly easy. But it's hard to make it out west, with all those California teams. But hopefully someday.
No, definitely agree. So, is there anyone specifically that you want to thank from your journey of how you did this? Obviously the fans. Is there anybody else that's really helped along the way?
I'd love to thank my wife, of course. She always, pushed me to keep going with this, and was just saying, keep posting. She's a big baseball fan herself.
Oh, nice.
And so she's really gotten into it. And so she's definitely been my biggest supporter with this. And she, gave me the confidence to keep it going once it started gaining a little bit and, think of new ideas. She helps me. So definitely my wife. I'd love to thank her for that.
Shout out the wife, Mrs. Whitlow. Any advice that you have for, I don't want to, bring competition to yourself, but, you've grown this page so cool and in such a unique way that I think a lot of people can resonate to. Is there anything that if people were trying to do it in any sport really that you would tell them to do or advise them to do? Is there something that you did that, helped you take off? I know you mentioned luck, but anything specific?
Ever since I started this page, I've posted every day at least 3 times a day.
Oh wow!
So I
nice.
think just getting your name and username and your pictures and stuff out there, I think, is probably what helped me to a certain degree. But there was tons of accounts who started around when I started. They get like 1,000 followers, which is no small feat really for a baseball account. Mm-mm. And then they just get burnt out and stop. So but if you've got the ability to just push through and just keep going. Growth can happen, and so I think you just got to keep pushing through and just try to avoid that burnout, and just try and think of something to post out there, even if it's not 3 times a day, just 1 time a day. Just keep getting your name and your pictures and stuff out there. That would be probably my biggest piece of advice, because I think that's probably what worked for me in the end if I had to guess. So that would be my advice.
Who is your favorite baseball player of all time, or is there a couple? I know Tim Wakefield's up there. Is there anyone that you grew up idolizing, or how you fell in the sport? How did you fall in love with the sport of baseball? Is the other question.
So my favorite player of all time would have to be Jacoby Ellsbury. Loved watching him play. I know he left for the Yankees.
I was gonna, yeah.
Them in the end. So he's forgiven for me. He showed up for like Pedroia's retirement ceremony. I think he still seems to support the Red Sox over the Yankees anyway. So he's all good in my book. Baseball for me, finding a love for it, it's kind of just something that's always been there. I mean, ever since I can remember, I was watching baseball on TV. I was buying the baseball cards. I was playing on my rec team, at T-ball. And so it's just something that's always just been a part of my life. So I really just don't know anything other than loving baseball at the end of the day.
What position did you play?
I played first base because I didn't have an arm whatsoever.
It's all right. That's why I was either the first guy or the last guy hitting, because I had no power. So it was either like, put the fast guy first or put the fast guy last. So no, that's fair.
Oh yeah.
What was the last question I had for you? From a baseball perspective, is there anything else that, where you see this page, right? Like, the ideal world in 10 years, where do you see this at?
My ideal world for this in 10 years would have like some crappy warehouse where we have like an official hall, a pretty good building somewhere, in some like small town like Cooperstown. If I could have it my way in 10 years, that would be what it would be.
Which you did get more favorites on the Cooperstown Hall of Fame post. I'll drop a snippet in here, but all I remember is you had more support than the actual Hall of Fame. So I think we can maybe get behind that. Maybe if Paul Skeens is, if we can't get the Pirates, maybe he can fund the Hall of Good stadium.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You just pitch us a couple dollars, to rent out a place.
Could happen. No, Bryce, appreciate your story. I think you resonate again with a lot of fans. Really cool. We're wishing the best for you, for all you baseball fans and sports fans in general. Again, make sure to follow him on MLB Hall of Good on Instagram, Twitter, and listen to his podcast on SoundCloud. Have a wonderful day, Bryce. Appreciate you again, and best of luck. And hopefully we can get you on maybe some spring training for some hot 2026 takes. So you have a good day, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm definitely down to come back in spring training at some point after we see how free agency plays out. Just let me know.
Any hot takes really quick?
Kyle Schwarber to the Red Sox.
I know a couple of my Cubs fans want him. Back on the north side, so we'll see what happens. No, I appreciate that. Bryce, you have a wonderful day, my man. Keep it up. And for all those people that, are in the MLB content world, hire this man. He knows what he's doing, and he makes it fun for the younger crowd. So thank you, Bryce.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Take it easy.